Good morning, Somil. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, Somil, we are here to share your journey with with the whole MBA admissions process. What had been the challenges, and how did you work on your application and your interview? So, please share your profile with us and an introduction about yourself.
Starting with my educational background, I'm a mechanical engineer. I have done masters in design engineering from BITS Pilani. Post that, I worked at Whirlpool, a consumer durable company, for 4.5 years. I was working in a product development team, designing washers and dryers. Uh, I did have a brief, idea about new product development. I was also involved in innovation activities. So those were the strengths in my profile, and I had to put that forward, what I bring to the classroom.
Correct. And what were the important criteria when you selected the MBA programs that you applied to, and how were the results?
I was planning to apply only in India, and I was only targeting the 1 year programs. So I had a work experience of around 4.5 years. There are very limited options when you are targeting a 1 year MBA program and you have an experience of less than 5 years. So the options that I had were ISB, IIM Ahmedabad, and IIM Kozhikode. So I applied to all the three MBA programs. I was little less interested in ISB just because the fees were high, and also the batch size was huge, like it's around 800 people. I was more interested in IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Kozhikode. So yeah, I applied to both the programs. I even applied to ISB. I was not targeting at it, but yeah, I did apply.
Right. As a working professional, how tough was handling the GRE? Did you have a challenge of deciding between the GRE and the GMAT? And what were some strategies that worked for you on the GRE prep?
To be honest, I actually started my preparation with GMAT. I didn't knew that GRE is accepted at par with GMAT in most of the colleges. There are some challenges from a personal point of view when it came to GMAT, especially the verbal section. The adaptive nature of GMAT for verbal was not kind of working for me. That is what I identified after spending around 3 months preparing for GMAT and giving some mock tests. Then I switched to GRE. So one thing I would like to tell everyone is just give it a try. Take mocks for GMAT as well as GRE. For GMAT, the mocks are available on the GMAT website, and for GRE, it's available on ETS. So there are two tests that are available for free. You can take one mocks for each, and you can look for yourself like what suits you the best. For me, it was GRE that suited me the best because it's not adaptive. At a later point, after 3 months, I switched to GRE.
In the case of business schools acceptance as well, they do not differentiate between the GMAT and the GRE. So you interviewed with both IMA as well as IMK through the GRE score. So that's equally an example of how acceptable it is.
How to start? Uh, the best way to start is just give the first test. You will get a base score. I think I got around 315, the base score. And then you can identify the areas where you need to work upon. Like for me, it was verbal, obviously, vocab if you are targeting GRE. And if you are an Indian, vocab is one thing which is going to, need more attention out of everything in GRE. If you're coming from an engineering background, I don't think quant should be a major challenge. Quant is quite doable. Like it's not that difficult. If you put in some practice, it is easy. But the major challenge with GRE is the verbal section, and especially the vocab. For GRE, I think critical reasoning was not a big challenge because GRE critical reasoning questions are relatively easier. That is what I found. The only problem is the vocab. Even the reading comprehensions that they give are quite heavy from the vocab perspective when you compare it with GMAT. So I
So
had
if
to put
you
in a lot of effort in
the
preparing the
vocab.
vocab. Vocab, yeah.
So if you've taken care of the vocab, you've already taken care of most of the sections of GRE where you might face a problem in terms of the verbal preparation. And any good sources on vocab or any methods that worked for you?
I actually referred this Baron book, and there is an app called Quizlet. There are flashcards on it. It's very difficult to remember all the words. So the only thing you can do is make notes of it, make flashcards, and shuffle them and review it on a regular basis. Like I had around 45 days with me to do this entire process, and I believe I mugged up around 500 words. So it's little challenging. It's depends from person to person, and that is how I did. I made flashcards on Quizlet. I kind of referred them on a regular basis.
Challenging but doable.
There's no one strategy which would work for everyone. Everyone will have to figure it out on their own, but you'll have to put in a lot of effort to do that. If you're not a reader of a good material, like good articles.
By the time you're done with your GRE, you almost feel that you've already made it. But then you have a part of putting up your personal brand, writing the application essays, and then going in for the interview prep, which are all equally important. So,
Yes.
how did you go about working on the application, and how was the interview experience?
I'll start with application first. For application, I think it's very important to introspect, like what are your strengths, how you fit into the program, what are the gaps as well, because when you're going to a program, MBA program or any program, there would be some gaps which you should know, which an MBA program will be able to fill. So it's very important to identify those. In the essays, I would say first highlight your strengths, like what you bring to the table, to the MBA classroom. And at a later point, it's important to highlight what you are looking to get from the course.
Correct.
So in my case, I had worked in the product development area, right? So those were the things like product development, innovation, design thinking that were unique about me, that I could, contribute to the classroom. So I had highlighted those things. Certain challenging projects that you have taken up during your work, highlight those, and what output. It's more important to highlight what outputs you have got in a quantitative. It's better to have a quantitative parameters, not always necessary, like, but it's better to have. So yeah, I mean, that is the first part. And the second part, what you are looking from the classroom.
So this is where actually a strong application strategy comes into place. You have a strong plan. You know what stories will be impactful and what are the ones that you want to highlight, and then you go about putting them across. And what was the interview experience and the interview preparation like? Any important insights you would like to share?
Yeah, interview is the most important deciding factor. Interview is one of the most important thing. So I have two experiences to share. First, I'll share my Kozhikode experience. I'll first share my Ahmedabad experience because that was the first interview that I had for MBA, and then I'll come to the Kozhikode thing. So IIM Ahmedabad interview, you have an extempore, and there is a discussion on the work experience that you have, the companies that the area, the industry that you work with. So I generally don't have nervousness about interviews, but somehow on that day, I went to the IIM Ahmedabad campus and I was really nervous. One thing is like IIMs call you early, like they call you around 2 hours early before the interview. So one thing I would like to share with everyone is don't indulge in discussions with everyone. There would be a lot of people who would be sitting there. It's good to say hi, hello, but don't indulge in a lot of conversation with everyone, because you are going to get nervous, you are going to get depressed if uh, listening to their stories, because there would be a lot of stories floating like I applied last year, I didn't made it. So that would be a little depressing. That would put you under a pressure before you go into the interview room. It's my honest advice that don't indulge in very deep conversations with everyone who are sitting before you get into the interview room. So yeah, that is one thing. From Ahmedabad, I think extempore topics were simple. Out of nervousness, I made some. The Kozhikode interview, like taking this learnings, I did not indulge in much deeper conversations with everyone. Same way, like I was also sitting outside for 2 hours before the Kozhikode interview. There are three things. First of all, 70% I would say is from the essays that you have written, from the industry you are in, products that you have worked on, or technologies that you have worked on, also the hobbies and what you can say the extracurricular activities that you have done. Focuses more on that as well. The extracurricular activities. The rest 30%, which is not completely in your control, I would say, is the general awareness, because I was asked questions on general awareness, like Like during that time, I think there were some pilots who left Akasa Air. So I was asked a question on that, like, are you aware of this thing? Just read newspaper a week earlier and go, because that is what I have heard from people and what I personally experienced as well. The third thing is the domain knowledge. Like I was from a mechanical engineering background. There was a professor who had idea about mechanical engineering, or he also had a same background from mechanical engineering. So he asked me questions on mechanical engineering, like what is Newton's law of cooling, where do you see them in real world. So there was no mention of anything like that in my essays or anywhere, but just because I was from a mechanical engineering background, that question came up. Brush up the basics of the domain or engineering field that you come from. So that is one of the thing I would advise everyone.
Any other insights or advice for future applicants who are going to start off now on this journey? Would you like to share any steps with them?
Get done with the test, because that's the major thing. Like if you get it done by May or June, it's you have enough time. Like if you have to apply again, if you want to improve your score, the first round is somewhere in June. If you are targeting the first round for Kozhikode, you will have to get done with the test in March or April, at least April, because then only you will have sufficient time to reattempt if needed. Many people do reattempt the test. After that, you will also need time to prepare your essays, because there are around 4 or 5 essays in Kozhikode. My experience with you was amazing. Like what help I got from you was how to put that story in a structured way and how to present it to a B school. The same story can be presented in multiple ways. What help I got from you was how to best portray your story so that it's something which B schools want to look at, like a story worth considering. Interview prep was good. Like I had 2 mock interviews with you, and it was amazing. Like I was well prepared before going to the interview.
Thank you very much for your time. All the best for the future.